It's only 72 hours until the Trump inauguration. And a lot of people over on the internet have been saying that it's wise to sell all your coins before it happens because it's going to be a buy the rumor, sell the news event. Ladies and gentlemen, I have already stated earlier that I think right now there's a massive fear-mongering campaign going on designed to make you sell. One of which the pieces was, for example, last night, that a little piece came out that Trump said all these negative things about XRP, about oh, you shouldn't have supported 𝗕𝗄𝗯. And I already stated in a video yesterday, first of all, Trump's a businessman, he would understand. And second of all, the language was quite harsh. I don't believe it. Anyway, the chief legal officer of Ripple now also came out to say, wow, an unnamed source, huh? Here's a named source, me, with his middle fingers. He didn't do that, but I kind of imagined that. The rumors published by the third-tier crypto rag are pure fiction, completely made up. I wonder who's behind that. And funnily enough, I've been seeing many of such cases where a lot of people right now are saying, you know what, it's wise to sell off all your coins because we're only going to start going down after Trump because it's not going to be as bloomy as you expect. Now, he himself is actually an XLM maxi. And if you're saying, hey man, sell your XRP and you should buy quality coins like XLM, to me, XRP and XLM will move mostly in unison. If one goes up, the other goes as well. But hey, that is just my opinion. Right now at $3.24 per XRP though, I'll say one thing. And that's what I personally think. Right now, I'm looking at the XRP price thinking, you know what? It is actually quite high though. All jokes besides, it is quite high per coin for where it was at relatively when this whole Trump move began. And so what I mean with that is just a few days ago, people got really, really excited about the Trump situation, right? You guys remember? We were like at $2.40, something like that, when this whole excitement came in. And the move went so quickly toward $3.40 that at that level, I kept saying, you know what? It's okay to take some profits to change your life because even though over a 3-month period, I believe will do amazing, on the short term, we really don't fully know. And to name an example of that, let's just say we look right now at Trump's effect. We expect him to put a reserve in, get some nice things out there for US-based cryptocurrencies or crypto companies. Ripple met up with them a lot. And so most likely there have been some agreements made. The SEC is going to change up, most likely for the better. And if you count all that up, mostly for XRP, it looks good. And for many coins right now in a battle with the SEC, it looks good. So if I do the math, then there is a probability that this person who just tweeted out saying, hey, sell everything before the 20th is right. That on the day itself, a lot of the people who've been accumulating XRP like crazy these few days are going to sell off because of some of the fear that Trump is spectacular, sure, but that it will take some time. But that still means that it will take some time for some of the things to kick in, and eventually we will get to the higher points. So what I mean with that is, right now, a lot of the commenters are saying, you know what, XRP is at a spot where historically it bounced off of from quite harshly. And if I take a look at Bitcoin right now, give me a second to open this up. If we take a look at Bitcoin, then right now we're starting another leg up. As the Bitcoin price today hit 105, right now it's basically almost at an all-time high again, as we are at $105.5 thousand per Bitcoin, with Ethereum still not making its move. Again, I have a lot of Ethereum. It's the third biggest crypto in my portfolio. XRP first, Bitcoin second, Ethereum third. Maybe those two are switched around, maybe more ETH than Bitcoin, but I think more Bitcoin than ETH, especially now that Bitcoin is at 105,000 and ETH is not even past its all-time high yet. But Bitcoin basically is on a new leg up like we were expecting. We expected to move up, then a little come down, which it now did throughout the last few weeks, and now again another swing up. And right now we're entering the weekend, so Sunday is going to be a crucial day. But I believe we will actually set ourselves a close above the previous close right here, which again, the most bullish close we had was at 104.3 thousand. If we stay at these levels, this will be the highest weekly close ever for Bitcoin. And so as it started a new leg up, perhaps this is only going to basically be the start of the super cycle for Bitcoin here, with Trump coming in. Just like how for XRP, and I've said this on multiple occasions, let's quickly look at it here. Let's quickly go to a daily chart here for XRP. Just like how right now we have changed from downtrend to uptrend. I already talked about that a while back when we were at $2.40. Crazy how fast we've gone. But even right now, I said it, it's okay for the price to have a little comeback right? Just a little bit like this. For example, go back to maybe like a $2.70 or something like that. You could call this FUD. You can call this, oh, Dusty, why are you making people fearful? Because getting back to these prices right here is just to make it more sustainable. But again, in the past, just take a look at this whole entire run right there. It really didn't go for any breaks, right? There was a little bit of downside. Like, for example, we could kind of consider this candle right here to be just like what we saw back in November of 2024, that it was just a little bit sideways, then a few weeks of down, or a few days of down, I should say. We could have a similar sort of situation where it goes down slightly, maybe not even towards $2.70, just goes slightly back down before shooting back up again. Because once more, if you start thinking about it, the whole Trump situation is so freaking exciting that whatever downside is here, I'm going to be scooping it up. Because in my opinion, and again, ladies and gentlemen, I am not your financial advisor. I'm sharing my opinion. I'm sharing my trades. I don't think that this whole Trump ordeal is going to be bad for cryptocurrencies. I believe Trump right now is going to just start the super cycle of sorts, and we'll basically see a crazy rush from here. But every single time I look at the comment section, there are people stating, Dusty, you're being unrealistic with your $15 or $20 targets for XRP. And I often respond saying, hey man, if you disagree, that's fine, but this is literally what I expect to happen. And if you don't, just do whatever you think is going to happen. But I am not comfortable selling at these spots because I think it's going so much higher. And again, I won't be here screaming that Bitcoin is going to go to 700,000 this cycle. No, my honest expectation is about $240,000 per Bitcoin. For Ethereum, I earlier expected roughly $12,000 per coin. Right now, that target is slightly lower, but I do think we'll go above 10,000 this season. At the start, my expectation was more towards the $1,000 per Solana. Right now, it's more towards the 750, so roughly a 4x on Solana still here. And if you start really thinking about that, from these current prices for XRP, we're talking about like a 5x. For Solana, we're talking about a 4x. For Ethereum, we're talking about like a 3x. For Bitcoin, maybe a 2.5x. These are not really crazy numbers that I'm repping here, right? If I were to tell you guys, XRP can go to $900 a coin in 2 weeks, crazy talk. We're not doing that. Could it happen? It could, but most likely not. And ultimately, I'm not here to try to sell you a dream. Talking about dreams, even though it's also true. Anyway, if you also want to trade crypto like we are doing on the channel, right now there's 2 iPhone 16s we're giving away in roughly 1 week. So make sure you check out the link down below to Blowfin, as right now we're giving that away. It's just a platform to trade on. But again, I'm never trying to sell you no dream. We just look at the XRP price. We've looked at the XRP versus Bitcoin price. Let's again, just for fun, look back at it, right? Let's quickly go ahead and take a look at this chart right here. And when we're looking at this, and I've done this 1,000 times before, what you notice is that as it currently stands, right, we still have a pretty long way to go towards just some of the historical XRP prices. I'm not stating let's go to the highest spots ever. No. Let's just go to maybe like a pretty low peak. So from current levels at 3,000 Satoshi, let's just go to a pretty low peak. From here to that, I'd say medium high level. A high level would be right here. Right, this point right here would be a 4x. But let's do it lower. Let's just say right here, roughly a 2.5x, let's say. Right? I wouldn't say that's an unattainable price because the XRP prices hit that back in 2013, 2015, 2017, 2018, and then all throughout 2019 as well. All right, at least the start of it. So throughout, let's say 5 years out of XRP's history, it's hit these dominance levels. So yeah, possible for sure. I wouldn't say it's not. And that would mean that with Bitcoin at $100,000, the XRP price could go from $3.25. Let's just do times 2.4-ish. So 3.20, let's quickly put everything away. 3.25 times, let's do 2.4, right? So roughly 2.4x, $8 or so per XRP, just to get to some of these previous dominance levels at right there with the Bitcoin at 105,000. If Bitcoin doubles from here, that also puts our target then all of a sudden at, let's call it $16 or so. But if XRP goes to some of the higher dominance levels, for example, right here, this is already a 3.5x. So now we're talking let's just call it 3.3 times 3.5. In this case here being 1155. If then again from that level Bitcoin doubles to $200,000 this season, then we're talking about a $24 XRP. Now, as it currently stands, what is the fair value? That's what I just stated, right? I think it should be more towards the $8, $9. I think this season, it could probably go significantly higher, but that's still where I wouldn't be thinking, that's really way too high. If you want a low estimate of what I think fair value is, then we're already mostly there. Just right now, we're back at 2017 all-time high prices. If you compare it to a lot of other coins, let's quickly go ahead and do that. Let's actually go, for example, to ETH, and this chart will not be perfect, but it's not meant to be. Why am I There we go. ETH. Why is ETH so far down in the rankings? That's kind of funny. So if we go and take a look at ETH, this is not a perfect chart, but ETH went in 2018 to roughly 11. Let's call it $1,200, right? Let's call it 1,200. Next peak, it went to roughly $5,000. So let's just say it was about a 4x or so this season. XRP hit $3 when Ethereum was at the $1,200 mark. So to put it into perspective, XRP to ETH, there we go. If we take a look at XRP versus ETH from these current, let's call it 10,000 small parts to the highest point, it'll be roughly, let's call it a 4x. So relatively right now from 3.25 times 4, I keep sometimes saying 225 because it feels unreal to me that XRP is basically at an all-time high. But that would from here on forward basically be $13 in XRP to get to somewhere close to these prices, like slightly above. Let's call it $12.50 or so because I did a plus 300%, it's only plus 275. So let's just call it $12, $13, right? Something along those lines. That's just basically back to old levels in terms of dominance from what we saw back at the start of 2018 and a little while before that, maybe even as well. Okay, so actually started 2019 and somewhere in 2018. So on 2 different years, 2 different occasions. But again, to put it into perspective, if we start looking at what ETH did throughout this period, XRP has still been very much underperforming. And XRP in the past had flipped ETH. XRP was in the second spot. I'm not saying it's going to happen again, but if it were to go back to old levels, that's where we'd be at. So even then at that point, right now, we could be at $13 with ETH at this current price because it's happened before. Again, history doesn't have to repeat, but that just puts into perspective that $10, because right here we're talking about a fair value of maybe even $12 a coin. $10 a coin really isn't that high. You can disagree, you can agree, whatever you want to do. I don't really mind. I'm just stating from my perspective, if we're talking about a few multiples or doing better than it did in the past, mostly because of the Trump support, because of the US coin, we're talking about the fact that it could overtake some of the older levels in terms of just making an even higher dominance percentage because of the situation that they're in. Done with the lawsuit, which has kept them back for a long time. So that could bring it back to its old levels, basically. But then Trump's extra support because it's a U.S. company and because of all the positive news around it and because they've got a crazy hyped up community, all that, plus the new features in due process, all that could actually make it do better than it did in the past, getting it towards those highs that we've never seen, basically, right? In terms of ETH dominance, for example, which would, again, or I guess logically deducing it, putting XRP, for example, at like $15, $17. So if we go higher than previous levels, and then if ETH, for example, also doubles from here, going to 7,000, or Bitcoin doubles from here to 200,000, or they both go in unison, basically, right? That relatively could put XRP also at a double from the $15 to $30, etc. I will not be screaming $30, $40, $50 here today, right? I'll keep it low and say, hey, I think the fair value should be 10 or 10 plus. It is, from that perspective, really not as high as many like to point it out at. So for all those saying, hey, it's really, really unrealistic, you got to explain to me why that is the case, why a $10 XRP is way too freaking high, because I really can't see it. From my perspective, it's not that high a target. Matter of fact, it's quite low. It could be at that price right now, and I wouldn't really even think of selling. If you asked me a couple years ago, I would have said $10 in XRP is crazy. But as it currently stands, with the current way that the market is going, this is extremely low per coin. But ladies and gentlemen, if you also want to trade XRP, you can see I actually added more to my position. Right now it's 186. If the price goes up a bit, it will be a 200K plus position on XRP right now. We have done pretty well with 35K in the profit or so, but I want to get at least, right? I want to get to at least a couple $100,000 worth of profit on the XRP positions, as this one here on Bybit is also only in $70,000 worth of profit or so. Not enough. We need some bigger trades. You can see WIF has not been treating us well, but it's okay. We'll catch back up with some other trades. XRP is starting another leg up. I won't say this will continue, but all I'm doing here is just speculating that Trump is going to be more exciting than not, and that most likely, if we look a few weeks into the future, we'll be up a lot from here, even though just like how we went down throughout the whole December period, basically, we could have a similar sort of situation right now because we're up, I'm going to say 50%, more than 50% actually. We're up 70% in just like 2 weeks from the bottom. So a correction is okay. Wouldn't be too bad, even if we go down for like a month going into Trump. But afterwards, I think it should be up tremendously from where we're at today. But yeah, that's about it for my thoughts. If you agree, make sure you press the like button. And I'll see you again in another one in like a little bit.